Hello, officer. Hey, why have you stopped me? I have all the right papers for the goods that I'm transporting from Mombasa.
You matter, my friend. You know there are new regulations that you don't know.
Like which one?
But you don't worry. Just give me something for lunch, then I can let you go.
Not this time, officer.
Hello, what are you doing? Hey, whom are you calling?
The NTB reporting system.
Hello, subiri kidogo,
Report NTBs. Simply dial *201# or go to ntbtool.mtic.co.uk and follow instructions. The NTB reporting system is an initiative of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives with support from Trademark East Africa. SMS charges will apply.
Now in trading, both domestic as well as external, there are levies, duties, levies, and so on, which may sometimes be mandatory. For example, import duties are mandatory because they are defined in our customs laws and customs regulations. In the case of East Africa, you have 25% tariff on finished products, 10% on intermediate goods, 0% on raw material and machinery. Now, those are gazetted levies, and they are written in our trade regime law. However, there are also sometimes other levies that may not necessarily be in form of a document that is gazetted. To that extent, that becomes a non-tariff barrier. These other levies are tariffs. An import duty is a tariff, and so on. And therefore, when you levy another duty or which has an equivalent effect, it becomes a non-tariff barrier. But that is from a monetary point of view. The other one, which is a non-monetary point of view, is I could be moving my goods to the port of Mombasa, and I find that the port process is slow, it's arduous, it's lengthy, and so on. And by the time I get my goods out of the port, I have lost time. I'm beginning to pay demurrage charges. I will then consider that the port process is a non-tariff barrier. They are not levying any charge in particular, but they are slowing down the documentation process at the port. When I leave the port and I reach a weighbridge at Mariakani or at Athi River in Kenya, or at Busia, the Busia-Tororo Junction, or at Magamaga, and then the process at the weighbridge is slow, it will be considered a non-tariff barrier. As I'm moving from Mariakani to Malaba and there are police stopping me on the road, that is also considered a non-tariff barrier, and so on. Standards could also become non-tariff barriers, although they are documented, they are legal instruments, they are legal instruments related to standards, but they could become a non-tariff barrier, and so on. So that's what is considered non-tariff barriers in terms of trade.
Traders all over the world face challenges, but the most significant are non-tariff barriers. COMESA, along with the East African Community member states that include Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi, recently resolved to ease trade within the region. One of the ways which this was done was through the East African Customs Protocol, Article 13, that states, non-tariff barriers, except as may be provided for or permitted by this protocol, each of the partner states agrees to remove with immediate effect all the existing non-tariff barriers to the importation into their respective territories of goods originating from other party states, and thereafter not to impose any new tariff barriers. The partner states shall formulate a mechanism to identify and monitor the removal of non-tariff barriers.
The non-tariff barriers, as we all know, impede trade and increase the cost of doing business. And they cause delays and lead to loss of time, as we all know, and increase and cause unfair competition. So it also makes it harder for us, or for Uganda or East Africa, to achieve our goals. Whereas we are trying to introduce partnerships, trade partnerships with a number of countries. For example, we have our ESC, East African Community. We have COMESA. We are trying to increase our partnership with EU. In fact, we signed the EPAs. And we have all these partnerships, China, India. But non-tariff barriers has been a big hindrance. And when these NTBs are reported, it enables our ministry to work with the responsible institutions, because it is a struggle that we have to face through concerted effort. And we normally have UNRA, UNBS, Uganda Revenue Authority, police, and other organizations like Manufacturers and Private Sector Foundation. So these help us to fight this evil, the non-tariff barriers.
They make movement difficult. They even become, they make the goods inexpensive. You lose time, you lose money. Or even you get frustrated, you find you cannot move. For instance, say you will not cross. Then that is a barrier. And that's a non-tariff barrier, as long as it's not in terms of tariffs.
NTBs mutate in a number of ways. As countries liberalize trade, they open their borders to free trade. They remove customs-related duties. And this is where NTBs come in. Because countries can no longer protect using customs tariffs and duties, they want to protect using NTBs. When you begin putting in some of those documents and procedures and they are cumbersome, people cannot understand them, they are not within the framework of the Customs Management Act, they become NTBs because they lead to increase the costs, they lead to unnecessary delays, and generally the cost of doing business gets higher. And the role of the ministry majorly is to ensure that the cost of doing business is brought down, and that is in line with the National Trade Policy and the National Development Plan.
When it comes to clearance of goods, people tend to think it's customs. But when you look at the process chain of clearance of goods, we have so many stakeholders that are involved in this. Customs being lead agents in this, we need to sensitize the people about the other people that are involved, who might turn out to be NTBs in the entire system. For instance, if a truck has an issue with the traffic, it has nothing to do with the goods, but still the goods will be delayed at destination, which involves a lot of costs that are actually unnecessary costs and delays.
In many cases, when the truck people are stopped, for example, transit goods vehicles, don't expect that they should be stopped at all. And yet we are not also going to say we shouldn't stop them at all. If there is a traffic checkpoint, for example, these people are not supposed to flout traffic regulations. If they happen to be found by people in an operation, say speeding, they're handling speed, and such a truck is speeding, they will be penalized just like any other motorist. So the drivers have to understand that they will have to comply with the laws and regulations to avoid being disturbed. But also the traffic people should be sure, or the policemen should know that why they are stopping the vehicle in the first place. Because some of the concerns are usually over delaying once a vehicle is stopped. Why is it that they take too long to release or to even inform the driver why they have stopped them?
We face a lot of problems, but more especially it is on the bureaucracy. because you find you need to meet many offices, many blah, blah. This one is asking for papers, the other one is asking for documents. When you are given a document here, somebody questions it. So that is a bureaucracy, and it has crippled the transport and the business industry.
As a measure to eliminate the non-tariff barriers, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives came up with the non-tariff barrier reporting system.
As a Ministry of Trade, we are interested in facilitating trade and in creating an enabling environment for trade. Formerly, when the traders or the industrial leads or the transporters got problems, they would have to either call someone they knew or wait for a meeting to communicate their problem. Sometimes they would strike or write letters, so many letters, and their problems would not get resolved in time. There's also very little transparency and documentation of the problems that our traders would face while carrying out their trade. So as a ministry, we're thinking of a system where these problems can be reported real time, where they can be transparently reported and eliminated very fast. So that's how we came up with an NTB reporting system.
The concept for this particular system came from just the reality that the manual system was simply not delivering in terms of business efficiency. So the idea was simple, to use the existing ICT interventions methods in order to be able to come up with a system. How do we do it? The initial concept was a basic SMS-based system where you experience an NTB, you have a number, and you send an SMS into that number and get a response. As we went ahead, we realized, okay, SMS would have a lot to do with too much human resource, personal intervention in between. You had to have a person at every end. So we thought that we could upgrade this concept and remove the element of human interface as much as possible. And in order to do that, we did a kind of benchmarking with the NTB reporting mechanism that is under use in the Tanzania Chamber of Commerce, Agriculture and Industry, which we looked at and came back and changed the concept and actually upgraded it to the one which is now operational using USSD code. And that's the code that we then had to acquire from UCC, which is 201, that enables you to actually enter the NTB. It's much more versatile and simultaneously deliver it to the relevant destinations.
On the phone, we access it using the code *201#. And that should bring us a menu that tells us to choose the agency that we are complaining about. We have a list, so we can choose one of them. And it asks us to describe the NTB in one sentence. We could put roadblock. It asks us the place of occurrence.
If you're a trader, you've brought in 2 containers of goods, they are stuck in Malaba or in Busia, whom do you report to if they have been delayed for 3 days, for 4 days? Where do you go? Do you run to URA? Do you run to UNRA? Do you run to the Ministry of ESC? Whom do you report to? So the National Monitoring Committee, which is chaired by the Ministry of Trade and the private sector, came together and they came up with this system. We've learned a lot from Tanzania in designing this system. And for us, we believe it offers traders, it offers the business community, it offers transporters, truck drivers, the opportunity to report barriers when they come across them.
Now, the Ugandan NMC has been one of the most active NMCs in the whole region. We've been commended by other partner states when we go for regional forums, which are held on a quarterly annual basis. What the NMC does is to look at issues regarding NTBs and to find solutions and to innovate on ways and means of eradicating and or eliminating those NTBs.
And by the way, no one can deny this message because it is shared. The Ministry of Trade and the party which is involved in that, like when it is a roadblock or it is a web bridge, so this information is shared. So nobody can say, I didn't see it, I didn't see it. And we are sure after a stronger sensitization, the NTB reporting system is going to be helpful to the stakeholders.
I want to begin by saying that our organization is using the system. That's why we have a focal point person in URA, especially customs. And we've had cases where reports have actually come from the focal person, and fortunately enough, I'm also a member of that network. A training was conducted here that I was part of by the Ministry of Trade. And it involved, actually so many stakeholders were involved. However, as to the use of the system, that's another issue. I am inclined to say that whereas it's a very good reporting system, but I think there's still a lot that needs to be done, especially in bringing people on board.
Much as we think of sensitizing the users of the reporting system, the mobile users, the trucker drivers, we should sensitize the government officials, these various departments, immigration, URA, the police, and other concerned departments.
This system, as I told you, is an instant and an online and a real-time reporting system. What makes it real-time is that when a complainant logs in a complaint, it is simultaneously shared by 3 different people: the complainant themselves, the Ministry of Trade, and the agency which is causing this tariff barrier. And if the complaint is logged in, all the parties get to know. We also have a representative from the private sector, the Uganda Clearing and Forwarders Association, that receives a copy of the complaint so that they monitor and see if actually the non-tariff barriers are being resolved. So this system is going to be very effective because it's in the light. Everybody is seeing, everybody is knowing. And there is no delay in the complaint being relayed. There is no delay in the solution being taken back to the complainant, because as you know, it's online and it's on phone. Everybody holds a phone and they go with it everywhere. So there's nothing like I was in a meeting, or I was not in office, or network was off. The phone is everywhere.
The main benefit, first of all, awareness on our part to know the challenges that face members of the private sector or the business community. That one has helped us a lot and to find solutions to them. Secondly, the